It's working with aluminum parts. The unbreakable Saiga! Ah! Okay, Airsoft, let me show you what I've got so far with the Saiga 12, with the unbreakable Saiga 12K. I have figured out that the main culprit is this piece. This piece, I'm having trouble reproducing it. The good news is this is not normally the piece that breaks. So let me show you how it goes together here. You've got the barrels, then this piece here, which is this. Okay, that's the same piece, but 3D printed. Then you've got this piece, which goes inside. I've got an aluminum one in there right now, look. Okay, so this piece, the barrels go inside there along with the little hop-up units. Sits flush, okay? Then you take, well, then there's this piece, but inside you put the little feed ramp. I have an aluminum one right here. Feed ramp with some springs so it bounces up and down and feeds them, just like the original one. And then you sandwich it in with this piece. Put your springs on like you see them on here. Okay. And then this nozzle end is what goes in. And this is where the problem is. This nozzle will not go in totally flat. It's trying to go in down like that. Instead of going straight, it's trying to angle this way. And every single one of these that I printed, whether it's from a third party or whether it's aluminum, I even printed some in stainless steel. The only one that works is the original. And the original works on all of my third-party pieces. So right here, for example, put it on there. Let me take these springs off for a second. And then this piece slides right in. Flush, flush. It's going in perfectly straight. So there's something wrong with this piece, these ones. Something wrong that I will figure out eventually. But for now, the most important piece is this one, ASG5. This one right here, the triple barrel. Okay, the reason why is because when people are switching to these aluminum nozzles, or even with the normal one, here's the OEM one. It's got a little metal piece in there right in the center, and that's supposed to stop BBs from getting stuck in there. And it's going and it's making this hole wider to where it's not fitting in there well, and it's cracking. Or the piece here, the nozzle itself, is cracking. So a couple different third parties have made this so that nozzle doesn't crack, but then the problem is this is running into here, which is polymer or plastic, and that's going to make it wear down. So I have a couple different aluminum and even, like I said, that stainless steel one, but we're going to keep it light. Or there's also even third-party ones 3D printed yourself. So worst case, if that breaks, you can take it and you can get them third-party and just replace it. But we're trying to make one that won't need to be replaced so much. So this one goes in there. In fact, I'll use this original one that I 3D printed in aluminum, or I had 3D printed. Goes in there real nice. All I had to do was shave it down a little bit on the edge here with a Dremel tool. And now it fits in real smooth. Then I need the OEM piece here. Of course, I'll put the feed ramp. But for this demonstration, you don't need it. And then look, it goes in perfect. It goes in perfect. No problems. So it's literally just this piece right here. Okay, so here's my plan. I'm going to replace the ASG5 with the aluminum piece, because that's what's going to come in direct contact with the aluminum nozzle. So that should be protected. These plastic housings, they don't really have too much stress on them. This does make contact with here, but the springs that go in there really prevent it from hitting too hard, I believe. And it's hitting flat, so I really don't think it's going to cause any problems. But if it does, at least we know that it's this part that we need to work on for a third party. Okay, then I'm also going to, this is the original, this back place is where the piston comes in. Here's the piston, and that hits that and shoots the air in, and yada yada yada. Before I only replaced that part right there, the blue one, with CNC. But now I've got the CNC piston part here that I didn't want to replace because I didn't want the metal hitting the plastic. But now I've got this one, and they match up. So we got aluminum going into aluminum, going into aluminum, going into aluminum. So all that together should make it so I can run this on HPA without fear of too much pressure going through it. And this is what I'm going to build the Saiga as right now, and then we're going to test fire it to make sure everything's working. I'm not going to show all that because it's a little monotonous. If you want to know how to disassemble down to these parts, there's other videos for that. This is what it's going to look like internally when we test it. Okay, another issue on the ASG5. The problem is these ones that I printed in metal, it won't fit. For some reason, the tolerance is just a little off, so I'm going to have to go in there with a Dremel tool and try to keep it as flat as I can, but allow clearance to go inside. Now, this one that was 3D printed from TAP, it does fit in fine. So if you're in a pinch, you need to order that one. It fits in actually very well. I did not 3D print. These ones were 3D printed from the online file I linked, but they're in metal. I didn't do one in any type of plastic yet, so I don't know if it's because it's metal that messed it up, or what, or if it's a different file, but I assume it's probably because of the metal. So I will work on that. I'm going to get it working. It's just, you know, slowly filing things down. Not a big deal. It's really soft aluminum. But if you don't want to do that, then get the file and print it out yourself, or have it printed for you on tap, and that does fit just fine. Also, please don't forget, with this ASG5 part, the original is right here. Inside each tube, there are these. This is the hop-up rubber, or the bucking, basically. And it goes in, you can see there's a long side. That longer side is oriented at the top of the tube when you stick it in there, because there's a little ramp inside, and they sell different ramp angles to try to allow you to hop heavier BBs, but this is just the original. But it goes in like that when you're reassembling. All right. I just wanted to show you how to get the barrels back into the ASG5. So you take the flat part that fits in with the cutout piece of the barrel. It doesn't stick in or stay or anything, so you have to kind of hold it with your finger. But that will always be in the up position when you're putting it back in the ASG5. And then put it in there. Then you kind of twist the barrel till it falls in. Then make sure you put the O-ring back up at the top that holds all the barrels together. There's a groove for it. Then we're going to look inside, make sure nothing's bunched up. You don't want any of those rubber buckings that we just put on to be bunched up there, but everything looks really good in mine. Okay, we've got the blue and red piston and nozzle. I put in the 130 nozzle springs and the 160 bolt spring. And you know, it's not normally a good idea to do a bunch of upgrades at once, just in case it doesn't work afterward, but y'all are gonna see it with me. First time. It shoots! it shoot faster? A little bit. It's working with aluminum parts. The unbreakable Saiga! Ah!